Hi everyone, it's Sean from Pulse Markets this morning. Today we're sitting down with the Managing Director of Aegros, John Manusu, and Professor Hari Nair, the Chairman. This story just keeps getting better and better. When we're raising money for companies, we need them to keep progressing so we can keep funding them, and Aegros just keeps delivering in spades. 3 weeks ago it was the Kirby Institute. Now we're talking about a strategic partner. Hari sat down with the Prime Minister of Australia last week. So we're just going to give you a little bit of an update. It's a very quick Zoom this morning. But guys, welcome. Thanks for coming as always. You're very accessible and nice to see you.
Hi, nice to see you too, Sean.
Yeah, Sean, great to catch up again. And yeah, lots to talk about.
I was with you last week for quite a few days. We met quite a lot of fund managers, a lot of the large brokers, and you announced something to them, which we'll tell our shareholders today. But the reception we've got in Melbourne was phenomenal. There's a lot of interest in Aegros right now in the CSL trade, which we'll send something out in an email about that, which you can read, that we're becoming a real threat and that Aegros could sort of be used as the hedge to protect the CSL positions that a lot of fund managers have. But let's just keep it to two things today. John, would you like to elaborate on what a strategic partnership means for Aegros and the de-risking event and the growth opportunities that it provides, please?
Yeah, sure. We've talked about this for some time. We talk about the steady state, which is doing Coppermune and doing the 1 million litre facility in Australia. That is a steady state. But it's become apparent to us as we've had communications with at least one of the fractionators that there is a lot more interest there. And potentially, if we were to join with someone who is a partner in this industry, be it a fractionator, be it a vaccine company, whatever, they would be able to, in effect, turbocharge that model. And so we took a decision as a board to aggressively approach this. And we thought the best way to do that would be to do a comparison of a couple of investment bankers. So we had two out of the US and we had one out of Australia, and we did had presentations from all of them as to why we should go with them. At the end of the day, we chose Macquarie Bank here in Australia for a number of reasons, which I won't elaborate on now. But the objective here is for them to now actively go out and seek to get a partner with one of these organisations, and that will be for a 10% issuing of our shares, half of which will be new shares and half of which will be buyback from the existing shareholders. We have not obviously set a price for this, other than to say that it will be well in excess of the current price that we are talking about. Rather than mentioning numbers, I think we're better off just saying it is something where there will be certainly multiples of the current price.
I think this particular appointment of Macquarie Bank also validates what it is that we're doing. We've got a first-year investment banker backing us, and that puts us, in a sphere where I think our shareholders can be confident that we have been looked after and that we have been represented by only the best.
Yeah.
Hari, I just want to touch on one thing, and thank you for that information. With the fractionator that reached out to you personally to look at acquiring some of Aegros, what was their terminology around your fractionating rates? Where would they be interested? Bearing in mind that we get a yield of around 90% and they're doing in the 40s, so we're virtually double. Where did they say they'd play games with you?
I think, Sean, I've got to be very careful about talking about what we are doing at the negotiation level, because that's the sort of thing that will screw a negotiation. But I think it is generally accepted, and I said this in Melbourne, and I've said this a number of times. What is very important to fractionators around the world is how we meet the demand for things like IgG. And there are only two ways. One is via the increase of donors, which we know you can't easily do. And then the other is the technology. And there isn't anything out there that even comes close to what we're talking about in terms of a technology that can give you a 90% yield. And if the truth be told, yes, that is the focus of the company. This is the focus of any negotiation going forward, the importance of that doubling their yield.
Well, I think we've also shown, Sean, what impact this would have on the fractionators as part of one of our presentations. where it showed the different volumes that the fractionators were collecting and the impact that our process would have had on them, on their bottom line. The other thing that's worth noting is yesterday in the Sydney Morning Herald was an article that talked, or two articles in fact. The first one talked about the blood supply, the plasma supply in particular, and how there is a shortage of this and there is a growing demand, and how the Red Cross through Lifeblood have done a remarkably good job at collecting and continuing to grow that. And that, I think, is something we should be commending them for. They are world best. But it's the fractionation side, as Hari is saying, where we have let down the system. We really are second rate as a world, not just one particular company, but as a world.
Listen, that's fascinating. To have one of the majors come to you and want to take 10%, then get Macquarie to auction it off. So shareholders like yourselves, because you're very big investors in Aegros, you always support the company throughout the capital raises. You're the first ones to put money in, which is brilliant as an advisor and as an investor personally. It just keeps getting better and better. Also, in terms of government support, I know Hari had a meeting on Friday with the Prime Minister. Can we talk to that?
Very briefly, I was very fortunate to be invited by Willard Media, David Miles, who had the opportunity of securing a time slot with the Prime Minister. I have to tell you, I was under the impression that we were going to be part of a very large party and that you would have your 30-second elevator pitch for the Prime Minister. And what turned out was that there were only four of us, myself, two other CEOs, and David Miles, and we had a 1.5 hour sit down with the Prime Minister at Kirribilli House, and very remarkable, warm reception. I had the opportunity to tell the Prime Minister what we were doing, the importance of the project, and also the importance of generating employment. I made it very clear that wherever we build this particular 1 million litre plant, we were going to be able to generate between 500 and 600 jobs with ancillary labor of 2,000, 3,000 people. So it was a big project, and the importance of the North Ryde Centre as a hyperimmune centre, manufacturing center. So I had a very good hearing, and I think this shows our investors the work that we are doing in the background, not only initiating talks and generating interest at the state level, but also at the federal level. With the new government coming in and with the opportunity that I've had meeting with the Prime Minister, I think we will be able to now do further things with the Minister for Industry, which is somebody that the Prime Minister did say that we should keep talking to. And with the Prime Minister himself knowing what the project is, hopefully this will generate much more interest.
That's just wonderful. I mean, you can't get higher than the Prime Minister. I mean, I'm not sure about the King, but the Prime Minister of Australia is exceptional. So where we're sitting right now, we've got a strategic partner that showed interest. You've got Macquarie Bank managing that process. In terms of government support, I mean, you've sat down with the Prime Minister. He's pushed you in the right direction to go. I mean, you're making the right moves. As investors, we should all be very happy.
Oh, look, there's no doubt about it. We are kicking goals.
Yeah. I think if it shows anything, it shows that there is a logical, practical planning, that we do in everything that we do, and the execution, which people were talking about. What's the biggest risk? And really, the biggest risk is execution. And John and I have been in this business for long enough to know that execution needs to be planned and focused. And that's exactly what we're doing. And each time we do these sort of things, it ticks off where we want to go and ultimately gets us closer to what we want to achieve.
And you see it accelerating too. I mean, the fact that we've now had a number of communications from the various parties that we need to work with, and we've got more coming down the pike, it is clear to me that it's, originally they took 6 months to have a meeting. Now they're talking 3 months. It's just getting more and more of the same. And I think it's inevitable that this is going to lead to a significant event for us in the very near future.
I know we were in Melbourne last week and you had to rush back on Thursday for a significant meeting with one of the state treasuries. We won't go into which one, but I mean, the state treasury, the Prime Minister, Macquarie Bank, the Kirby Institute 3 weeks ago. I mean, you'd have to be living under a rock not to take notice of what Aegros is doing and the progress you're making. I just want to say congratulations as an investor. And it's a real pleasure watching you grow. I mean, 12 months ago, when you got the TGA approval, you've done your first part of the trial. The second part's about to happen. You've proven with the Kirby that COVIMUNE can fight all variants of COVID. It's just strength to strength to strength. The slight delay, I think making sure it all works properly is a logical way to progress. And I love what Hari said. There is a plan in place and you're executing that plan and it's working very well. So just want to say thank you very much for your time. If anyone's got any questions, please send them through. But do you guys have any final comments or?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
Now, as long as every investor understands and believes that where we are going with the company is focus, focus, and focus.
Well, thank you very much for your time, guys. And I look forward to speaking to you soon.
Thank
Okay,
you.
take care.
Hello, I'm Professor Hari Nair, co-founder of Aegros, here to introduce the Australian-invented HemaFrac. Housed in our state-of-the-art 4,000 square meter plant in Sydney, we use the HemaFrac to make COVIMUNE, a hyperimmune against COVID-19. Research and development is key to our success, creating a revolutionary 4-step process with yields of 90% and product purity of 99%. Membrane technology is the heart of HemaFrac, and we make our own right here on site. The HemaFrac lives in our TGA GMP approved clean rooms, making hyperimmunes from blood plasma. And we have our own extensive warehouse capacity. Aegros is replicating our HemaFrac all over the world as we aim to provide self-sufficiency in blood plasma medicines, in line with the WHO mandate. We are Aegros, patients first through innovation. Hello, my name is Dr. Hari Nair. I am the Executive Chair of Aegros and co-founder of the company. I am a hematologist by training and I have a PhD in medicine and clinical science. Aegros is Australia's second plasma fractionator, and the technology we use, the HemaFrac, is what is going to turn the plasma fractionation industry on its head. Current plasma fractionation uses what is known as the Cohn-Oakley-Kleister-Nishman system, which is composed of a multitude of steps which take into account things like your pH, ionic strength, temperature, etc. The multitude of steps, which is very important, create a situation where you can actually exaggerate losses so that the final product, in the case of immunoglobulin, only 50% is produced. And this is significant when we are talking about the use of these particular plasma products in industry. The HemaFrac system is a 4-step system and is composed of one capture step. What it does is that it gives you very high yields, and this, we believe, will take care of the shortage of immunoglobulins in our health system, and most possibly in a global sense. Aegros' HemaFrac system is an electrical environment system consisting of 3 membranes, one on the top, one in the middle, and one at the bottom. Protein molecules are then charged using a buffer, and in this particular instance, the positive immunoglobulin molecules are then transferred across the middle membrane into the lower stream towards the negative electrode. The HemaFrac system is a 4-step process compared to the multitude of steps that's required for conventional coal. Now, in spite of that, what you get is a very high yield, very high purity, and low running costs with minimal impact on the environment.